So everybody, welcome to today's video. This is one I've been wanting to do for a long time, is a Rangers rebuild, and loads of people have been asking me to do this. This will be a fun one because it's a wee bit of a smaller team and a bit of a smaller league. Obviously, Rangers have been a good team for years, but Celtic's kind of pushed up. Obviously, Rangers had a lot of problems financially, and then that kind of caused them to sort of drop down leagues and then not have to sell a bunch of players. But we are here to save them, boys. Because if you go over into their team, they actually still have a very good reputation. 3.5-star reputation, 4-star training facilities, 3.5-star youth facilities. They have 5-star recruitment. So boys, I'm hoping with the youth intakes, because you know how my saves go. Look, I don't get lucky with youth intakes. I get maybe one out of maybe every 4 rebuilds that we do that's a good player. I've only ever had one that was so good that he stepped up into the first team after maybe 2 seasons. I've only ever had that once. But like I said, they do have 5-star youth recruitment, so I'm expecting us to get at least a couple of decent players. If you go over their history into competitions, as you can see, they've won the league. The last time was in 2021. Before that was 2011. So like I said, they had a wee bit of a fall off. Celtic kind of started a wee bit of a reign of terror. The Scottish Cup, last time they won that was 2022 in this. Last time before that, 29. Obviously, with regards to European stuff, they haven't really done a lot. The European Cup, when was that? 1972. So obviously never won the Europa League, never won the Champions League and stuff. And if you go over into the league, as you can see, look, Celtic has won it 3 years, Rangers won it one before that, and then it was yeah, it's been a few seasons. Celtic's maybe been a wee bit sort of dominant. It kind of looks like either PSG whenever they're in France or Bayern Munich whenever they're in Germany. That sort of reign of terror, and the odd team wins every now and then. But look, they do have a couple of decent players. The only thing that's going to be hard in this is obviously finances, because we don't have a lot of cash starting out, 800,000, and we've got 5k in wages. But the team's pretty solid. Obviously, we have a pretty decent keeper in Jack Butland, 31, so he's still a good age for a keeper, but he is very good for this league. And we also have Ridvan Yilmaz, who's also a very good left back, and he's still only 23. Who wants him? That's a lot of Premiership teams. That's not good. Defensive midfield wise, we do have a decent player in Yashkin. Centre backs is probably one of our positions I think we're a little weak, because we do have John Sutar, who's all in all a pretty decent defender for this league. 6'1", can play both feet, a little injury prone, and his concentration is 6. But all in all, like I said, for this league, pretty solid. Balogun, another one who's actually pretty solid, but the fact that he's 36 years old isn't great. He's also injury prone as well. So centre backs is going to be an issue over the next couple of seasons. It's a position we actually really need to strengthen. Of course, they do have Hadji, who's just technically absolutely fantastic. Look, physical stats aren't fantastic, but he's strong with both feet, enjoys the big games, got a good mentality, and like I said, technically the dude's unreal. Of course, they do also have a Diamande. Once again, he's one of those pretty decent all round, but master at nothing type thing, but he's still only 22 years old. The only thing about this league as well is players are not valued very high. So a Diamande, a player I say you were to sell him, if he was in the Premiership, you're talking 40 to 60 million. In this league, you're talking 15 maybe. We also have Nadim Bezrami, another one, still only 25 years old. Once again, not phenomenal, but pretty solid for this league. Our only real sort of decent striker, I would say, is Danilo, who look all in all is pretty decent. Good penalty taken, dribble and finish and first touch are pretty solid. Mentals are okay, physicals are pretty decent. It's only 5'9", you know why a big physical striker. But look, this is the team that we've got. And this will more likely be the position that the formation that I would like to play, a 4-2-3-1 with sort of through the middle. We don't have amazing wingers, so I think I kind of want to push everybody kind of through the middle of the park a little bit. Obviously, main thing is I think we need an RDM. If I have to play somebody in here that's a little younger, maybe a little inexperienced, or not just as good for a season or so, look, we'll have to do that, because if we don't have money, it's going to be difficult to bring people in. Obviously, Yilmaz and Raskin are both wanted. Raskin's actually worth a decent amount of money, 7.2 to 8 million, but if I was to sell him, who am I going to be able to bring into the Scottish League? So I'm going to try and hold on to the team at least for this season. I don't think we can overly change too much, and like I said, I don't even think we're going to be able to loan anybody on unless we can loan somebody in for 800,000. Yeah, I don't see us getting rid of anybody. The one thing that does need to change at the club is obviously going to be the staff. Honestly, actually, he's pretty solid. Leo Walker, 20, working with youngsters, 15 and 15. He's actually pretty solid. Then if you go to the assistant manager, look, he's not great either. What have we got? We've got a fitness coach who's got 11 fitness, and then goalkeeping coach, look, he's fucking 9 and 9 for coaching. Obviously, coming into Rangers, I don't expect him to have Premiership level coaches, but I feel like we can massively upgrade in this. So I'm going to show you how I always go about getting the good stuff in the game, because everybody always asks me anytime I don't show this in a video. People are always like, Mark, how do you get the good stuff? So all you do is go up to staff search, obviously in the left hand side of the screen, go to coaching attributes, and then go over here to tactical coaching, click it, make sure the highest number is at the top, obviously depending on what club you're at. This may not be 19s and 20s, you may be a little lower. So I do that, and then I go over here to attack and defense, and I just scroll down until I see a decent number, like 16 or 15 for each. Make sure they're ahead of youth development. Go over and click on them. Rossi, as you can see, he's absolutely fantastic. The regen staff in this game are absolutely wild. And then you click on him. Look, he's happy to be a coach. Honestly, I'm actually going to make him my assistant manager because he's very, very good. He's probably the best coach that will be able to get in. So I would rather him be an assistant manager. And this is all I do. I just scroll down, look for anybody that's got good attacking and good defense. Like I said, obviously we have to lower our expectations a little bit. This guy's also pretty solid. 40 years old. He's pretty good. Bring him in. He wants to be a coach. Obviously, you'll get sometimes that only want to be ahead of youth development, but you just work around it. And this is all I do to get good coaches and assistant managers in. It's pretty simple. We were able to sell one player on, and it was Danilo. He wanted to go back to the Brazilian league. We sold him. I think it was Fluminense. Yeah, Fluminense. And we ended up selling him for 5.2 million. We bought him for 5.2 million, sold him on. So we got our money back. But all in all, like I said, this gives us a little bit of money up front because we need the cash. So the first person I brought in the door, and look, I know he's not fucking world class, is Santiago Caceres, but he was on a free. He's very, very good for this league. Like I said, we paid absolutely nothing. He's not even on crazy wages, like £20,000 a week. He's going to be our other DM beside Raskin. Look, mentals is good, defending's good. Look, physicals aren't unreal, but like I say, we're playing in the Scottish league and our options are very limited because we didn't have a ton of cash. And look, mentally, he's absolutely rock solid. He's everything that we need for a DM. He's not amazing on the ball, but I don't need him to be amazing on the ball. And like I said, for a free transfer, he's pretty solid. So then it did also bring in one of my favorite wonder kids. It is young Zeno DeBast. He is in on loan for the season, as you can see in his contract. 17 million optional fee. I don't think we're going to be able to. 17 million's a little much. Look, even if we do really, really well this year, if we got into the Champions League, oh yeah, we've basically have to qualify for the Champions League. We got fucking Monaco as the team that we have to qualify against. So yeah, Champions League might be a little rough this year. But anyway, say we get in the Champions League, did well in like the league phase, won the league and won the cup or something. I still don't see us getting 17 million. So the DeBas one, look, he's in for the season. We need a few centre backs. Both of our centre backs are injury prone. One of them is 36. So we need a wee bit more strength backer. So I brought DeBas in for the season. I think this is a really, really good. I'd love to bring him in full time, but I don't think it's going to happen. So one other person I have brought in on loan, but this one won't come till January. I don't know why you can only bring him in January. I don't know, maybe something to do with his clause, is Shaquille Van Persie. This is one I kind of want to get in. Shaquille Van Persie in this database is absolutely insane. Like I said, if you want to play this database and the save file, the corner routine, and the tactic, everything will be in the pinned comments down below when this video goes live. Shaquille Van Persie is amazing. And a 6'2", can play with both feet. Only 17 years old. He does have a optional fee. I think it's about 7.2 million. Obviously, it's not shown because he's not actually at the club yet, but it's in and around there. I think it's between 5 and 7 million, in and around there somewhere. Look, if we can get him in as our main striker, I know he doesn't look amazing over here, but that's what we're going to have to do. We're either going to have to buy sort of older players or sort of like younger players that maybe aren't just ready yet and then develop them. And the Scottish League's a perfect league to develop young players. If we can just get them in the door, it'd be amazing. But we'd also have to get him away from Feyenoord, which could be a little difficult, but he's in January. So obviously then with Danilo going out the door and Van Persie not being here until January, I went out and got another striker, Francisco Forte. Look, this is one. He only costs us $1 million in total. 6'2", big physical guy, enjoys the big games, super mentality, really, really good, consistent as well. Look, big, physical, and he only costs us $1 million. He's 31. He'll be perfect to do his, obviously. He'll start, and then Shaquille Van Persie and him will just interchange whenever January hits. But look, for £1 million, look, he's a wee bit of an upgrade on Danilo. He's a wee bit more physical, and like you said, I always want that with my strikers. So then with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, this is what the team is going to look like for the first season. Butland, Yilmaz, Suter, DeBast, Tavernier, Raskin, and Cesaris, Hadji, and Diamande and Ben Rami in behind Forte. Look, I honestly believe we can score a lot of goals in this league. And like I said, it's a perfect league to bring young players into the team. There was one young player I wanted to bring up, but I would like to get him out on loan first. And it's this young guy, Bailey Rice. I think he has a decent amount of potential. Obviously, if I bring him up into the first team, he's not going to get a lot of football. So I'm going to try and loan him out and then work on his potential. Because look, he can play with both feet. He's also Scottish. He has a good mentality. He's only 17 years old. And look, he has some decent stats already. 15 first touch, 15 free kick taken, 15 passing, 15 technique, 15 decision making, good determination of 14, good anticipation. Physical stats are a little out there, but like I said, he's only 17 years old. Look, he's one that could develop down the line. If we could probably work on his dribbling, he may be a decent right back. We'll just have to kind of see how he develops. But he's one I would like to get on loan. I've tried to loan him out, nobody's interested. So we're just going to keep him in the B team, work on him with our head of youth development, and see if we can kind of develop him. Boys, that is going to be the team for season 1. Obviously, I'll bring you back in January if there's anybody for approach assigns. I don't know how much cash have we actually got left. 0. So I don't know if we're going to be able to sign anybody on approach assigns because we have spent all our money. And then obviously if April comes around and we have a good youth intake, I'll bring you back for them. But boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 1. Boys, we're at the end of season 1. Honestly, we've done very, very well. I'm very, very happy with where the team has progressed. Obviously, going in, we didn't have a lot of money, so we kind of just had to build the team as we went along. I have confirmed the signing of DeBast in January. The board gave us 19 million, so I went and confirmed that we got him for 14 million instead of 17 million, which is his optional fee. So we got him for a few million cheaper. DeBast is one I do want to bring in. Ideally, I would like to play him in defensive midfielder because he's good all round. He's good in the ball. He can tackle. He's 6'3". He's got a ton of energy, but we'll have to see what centre backs we can get in maybe in the summer because we're a little short back there. But my goal obviously is to stop Rangers winning the league every year and compete, try and stay in the Champions League and do well. Obviously we had Monaco going in the Champions League. We'll see how that went. But first, let's jump over and see how I did in the league. So we started things off with a fantastic 2-1 win over Celtic. We actually had a man sent off, and that's going to be the important thing in this league is we have to beat Celtic. Let's be honest, all the other teams are going to be playing second fiddle to us and Celtic. We have to, in our head-to-heads, we have to beat them. We then also had a fantastic 8-0 win over St Johnstone. We then smashed Hibs 5-0. Also beat Hearts 3-1. Right at the end of the season, we had a nice win over Celtic, smashing them 4-1. So with all those results, boys, we fucking did it in the first season. This is exactly, I wanted us to just get in and start really strong. Obviously, when I looked at the team, I was like, okay, this maybe Celtic do have a good team in this. They really, really do. But like, we absolutely fucking smashed it. 38 games played, 36 wins, 2 draws, 0 defeats, 117 goal difference, which means we absolutely smashed it with regards to goals. And then on top of that, we had 110 points. Celtic were 89 points. So what's that? 21 points in difference. So yeah, we did pretty fucking well. But then if you look down here, Diamande got 20 goals in the league. Tavernier got 17. From right back. So yeah, that's a little interesting. Tavernier is also up there for average ratings. Diamante's in there. Yilmaz is also in there. Yilmaz is also upset. Newcastle come in and offered us like 12 million. I said no. He now doesn't want to sign a new contract, so we may end up having to sell him in the summer, which kind of sucks because I do want to keep him because he's a very, very good player. But if we can get like over 20, like 18 to 20 million, I'd be pretty happy. Obviously, don't want to lose him. But then Diamande is in there for assists with 18. Hadji is in there for 15. Yilmaz is in there. Tavernier's in there for yellow cards in second. Butland is top of the clean sheets, which means we probably scored a fucking shit ton of goals. And look, I understand this league's not massively competitive. Just we have to just outdo Celtic. But look, if we can score over 100 goals every season, I'll be very, very happy. I think we should be able to do it. We have the team. Then Tavernier and Hadji are in there for player of the matches. If you go to team overall stats, most points per game, we're up there by 2.89. We scored 143 goals. Celtic are on 91. Honestly, Aberdeen are right in there with 80, and then Kilmarnock's in there by a little bit behind. Most shots for were 800. We're 300 ahead of Celtic. Fewest shots against, we're not honestly too far behind them. Most clean sheets is us with 19, and then fewest conceded is 26. So we conceded 26 goals in the league and scored 143. Boys, look, if you're going to do a rebuild, that's how you fucking start off in the first season. Let's see how we did in the cup. So we started things off in the 4th round against Wraith Rovers. We beat them 3-0. But unfortunately in the 5th round, that's where, yeah, our cup run ended. We get beat 3-2 by Aberdeen. This kind of sucks. After doing really, really well in the league, look, if we're being realistic, Aberdeen's a team we should be beating. So unfortunately, the first season, We only made it to the 5th round of the cup. So moving over in the Champions League, we actually had to qualify to get into the Champions League. As you know, I said already, we had to play Monaco. Things did not start off very good in France. Yeah, they beat us 3-2. We also had a man sent off, which didn't help. But all in all, look, a very, very good account of ourselves in the first leg, getting beat 3-2 with a man sent off against a very, very good Monaco team. But at Ibrox, it was a whole different story. We beat them 2-0 to go through 4-3, which then took us to the playoff first leg where we drew fucking Fenerbahce. So we got Monaco in the first match to qualify, and then we get Fenerbahce, who's a hard team. Like, going to Turkey is very, very difficult. We beat them 2-1 in the first match. We then drew with them 2-each at Ibrox, which means we went through 4-3 again. But this took us into the group stages of the Champions League. Look, we didn't do well going through, but look, it doesn't matter how we win. See, as long as we fucking win, that's all counts. That then took us to Group A. Yeah, our group is a little difficult. We got Sporting, we get Aston Villa, and Atletico Madrid. So in the first match, Sporting beat us 1-0. We then got beat 2-0 by Aston Villa, but let's be honest, Aston Villa are a top Premiership team. I don't mind this at all. But then we picked things up against Atletico Madrid. We ended up beating them 2-1. We scored in the 94th minute to get the winner. In the return match, we also beat them again 4-3. It was helpful. They did have a man sent off. But yeah, this is 2 big wins back to back for us. Then also got some revenge on Sporting. We beat them 3-2 at Ibrox. In our final group match, we beat Aston Villa 4-1. This was probably the most shocking result out of them all, because Aston Villa are a very, very fucking good team. And the fact that we smashed them 4-1 is wild. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. When we get beat by Sporting and we get beat by Aston Villa at the start of the group, I was like, oh shit, this is going to be rough, because Atletico's also a ridiculous team. And then beating them twice and also beating Aston Villa, which took us into the group. We actually finished top, which is, I'm not going to lie, when I seen this group, I was like, this is going to be rough. I was honestly thinking, right, we may go down in the Europa League, because I felt like even Sporting, like if you look at Sporting's team, Diamande, Ignacio, obviously we have the Bast, they have Gao Karas, Higelmand, Trincao. Their team is ridiculous. I don't know how we've pulled us off, boys, but I'm not going to complain about it. So that took us to the round of 16, where we faced off against like a very, very good Liverpool team. They started off the scoring. Bajrami then got us back into the match. They scored their second just after half time. They got another one 10 minutes later. Honestly, some terrible defending from us. 2 minutes later, they scored again. 4 minutes later, some terrible defending from us. Let them in again for it to be 5-1. We hit back through young Cortez. Unfortunately, in the 90th minute, they got another goal to beat us 6-2 in the night. But look, it's Liverpool. They've got a very, very good team, which meant going to Ibrox, we had our work cut out for us. But we actually started off the scoring through Lawrence. Big Dessers then made a 2-0 with some terrible defending from them. They did hit back through Darwin Núñez. You know it's bad when Darwin Núñez is scoring past you, but like they absolutely obliterated us 7-4. And this is unfortunate because we beat them in the second leg. If we wouldn't have got absolutely obliterated in the first leg, this happens to me all the time when we're playing as like a smaller team. We end up losing one of our games by a large margin and then ended up beating them. Look, if we wouldn't have got smashed in the first leg, they also missed the penalty through Mo Salah, so this could have been 2 each, but I'm not taking anything away from the boys. We did fantastic. Look, we had to beat Monaco and Fenerbahce in the qualifying. Our group was a fucking nightmare with Sporting, Atletico Madrid and Aston Villa. We finished top, made it to the round of 16, and in one of the games against Liverpool, we won. I'm not going to take anything away from the boys. We did fucking fantastic. So then moving over into the player stats, Big Jack Butland played 51 games, conceded 48, but had 22 clean sheets. Soter started 42 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Then Big Debast, obviously I locked him in just to make sure he was getting football, and like I said, we have confirmed the signing of him. He started 50 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. He's also looking very, very good. Then Big Yilmaz started 40 games, 5 goals and 15 assists. So 20 goal involvements in 40 games is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, Newcastle are interested in him. So we're probably more likely going to end up losing him because he doesn't want to sign a new contract. Unless I can play him at the club and then try and bring his happiness back, I would like to keep him, because trying to get fullbacks in FM can be a bit of a pain in the ass and very expensive. And we're probably only going to get 18 to 20 million for him, and replacing him while we're in the Scottish League is going to be difficult. But like I said, Tavernier has to be probably one of the standout players this season. 41 games played, 20 goals and 15 assists from right back. So it's 35 goal involvements in 41 games. I thought maybe the assistant manager had been playing him in like midfield or something. When you look, it's all defensive midfield or DR. So he was playing right back. 20 goals is absolutely wild for a right back. It's the most I've ever seen one of my right backs score. Then Big Raskin played 43 games, 10 goals, 3 assists from defensive midfield. Saris, 46 games played, 5 goals, 8 assists. Then Big Hadji played 41 games, 13 goals, 8 assists. He had a very, very good season. Rami played 43 games, 13 goals, 15 assists. So a lot of our players are scoring a lot of goals. Honestly, the Tavernier one is the most. That's the wild. 20 goals for right back's insane. Diamande had an absolute banger of a season. 54 games played, 25 goals and 22 assists. He's just upset he's spaghetti because he wants a new contract. I've already offered it to him, so he's definitely staying. But he had a great season. Then Big Forte up top played 28 games, 15 goals, 1 assist. And then, of course, we did have young Shaquille Van Persie in on loan. 16 games started, 13 goals, 1 assist. Honestly, I would love to bring him in. I don't know how much money we're going to get with regards to the transfer budget. So, yeah, I would love to bring him in. If we get 9 million, I'm automatically activating this because he becomes absolutely fantastic. He just needs a wee bit of time. And this league is like the perfect league for him to play in. All in all, boys, look, an absolutely fucking fantastic season. We finished... smashed the league, like absolutely obliterated the league. Like what, 21 points ahead. The cup we didn't do too great. Hoping to rectify that next season. But look, the Champions League, I've already talked about it. We did absolutely amazing between qualifying our group and then obviously beating Liverpool in one of the games. We did amazing. I'm very, very happy with the boys. I think a very, very good first season, boys. So let's jump over into season 2. So with the board only giving us about 3.5 million to spend on transfer budget, all in all, I can't really overly complain. In January, they give us 19 million. So look, for a Scottish team, we did pretty well. So we had to get some people out the door to obviously make a bit of cash. I think one of the best transfers that we did, we sold Caceres to Burnley. Yeah, for 15 million, working its way up to 20 for a guy that we got a season ago for a free. So we get 15 million up front, which is absolutely fantastic. The more money we can get up front, the better. It makes transfer deals a little better. But like, we just made 20 million for a guy we paid for nothing. And then obviously, like I said, we were going to lose Yilmaz because he didn't want to sign a contract and he wanted to go to a bigger club. Look, it's understandable. He's playing for Rangers. He's a very, very good left back. So we sold him on to Arsenal, 17.5 million up front, working its way up to 25 million. So look, I would have liked a wee bit more money, but look, 25 million for a team that's in the Scottish League. On top of that, I was also able to offload Raskin. This is more just, look, he's 5'10", his physical stats aren't that great, and you know how I want to build my teams. I like my midfields to be big and physical, and yeah, we got some pretty decent money for him. So we got 14 million up front for him from Lille. So we did pretty well with regards to transfers. So all in for those players, we made a total of about 59 million, including like the 3.5 million the board give us. So it took us over the 60 million mark. So one player I did agree to transfer for, this was from last season's money, was young Naipan. Obviously didn't want to show you that. I didn't want to spoil it too much. But look, he's got a lot of talent. He's 18 years old. He can play fantastic at both feet. Technically, he's an absolute monster. Look, I don't need to explain to you how good Naipan is. We all know. So we paid a total of 7.5 million. I think this is an absolute steal for a player. Obviously, at some point, we may lose him because he can become world class and we're in Scotland. But for the meantime, we've got ourselves an absolute beast of a wonder kid. Then obviously with us losing Yilmaz, we were going to need a left back. So I loaned in Patrick Dorgu from Man United. He does have a 20.5 million optional fee. Look, depends how much money we've got. Dorgu's one of those ones. He's a pretty good player, but I don't know if he's worth 20.5 million. But all in all, look, he's in for the season. It's not a lot of money. If we go to Lucille, as you can see, it's 1.4 million for the whole season. I think it's a really, really good deal. He's also very, very physical, which is going to help us out a lot. So then another one I brought in, this is a full transfer, is Gabriel Mascardo from PSG. It's one of those ones, they never play him, they loan him out all the time, so you can get him out pretty easy. So we paid a total of 10 million, I think, once again, an absolute steal. He's 6'1". I am going to work on his weaker foot, because I would like to be able to play with both feet, but he's only 19 years old, 6'1", and I am going to work on his technique and a wee bit of passing the first touch. But all in all, a really, really good player. And once again, he adds more physicality to your team. But centre back is a position we were very, very weak. So I went and got El Badeshebu. This one worked out for a total of 12 million or 10 million, working its way up to 15 million. Look, he's an absolute unit. 6'5", left-footed. I'm going to once again work on his weaker foot. Determination is really, really good. Leadership is really, really good. So future captain. Look, he's not a good ball playing defender, but he's a great no-nonsense defender. And once again, like I said, He's 6'5", 16 jump on reach, so should be pretty good from corners. Then I also did bring in another centre back. I brought in a Dragiason from Tottenham. This is on a season loan because he's very, very expensive. He does have an optional fee of 24 million, and for the season it cost us 1.4 million to bring him in, which is absolutely fantastic. So it means we have him and Badi Shebu as our two centre backs, Dorgu on the left, and then Tavernier on the right. So look, our defense is looking pretty good, but I did want to bolster our strikers, and I brought in Esposito once again. This is on a season loan because we have no real money left. But this is costing us a total of 1.4 million. He does have an optional fee of 9 million. Look, you know my love for Esposito. If I can get this kid in the door for 9 million, I am 100% putting the trigger. I will spend all of our money next season to get this kid in the door because he's amazing. 6'2", 16 jump on reach. His heading's good. His passing's good. Finishing's good. Look, if you want a good striker in FM24 and you don't know about Esposito, by now you probably should. Look, he's absolutely ridiculous, and you can get him dirt cheap. So with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, this is what the team is going to look like. Butland in nets, Dorgu, Badishebu, Dragosan, and Tavernier. Because like I said, I wanted to push the Bast in the midfield. So it's the Bast and Gabriel Moscardo as our two DMs. They're both very, very good, well-rounded. They're over 6'1", and they're very, very physical. And then we've got Hadji, Diamande, Naipan in behind Esposito. This, honestly, joking aside, this is a team that's going to score a lot of goals. Obviously, in this league, we did very, very well last year. But, yeah, I think we may fucking smash it this year, boys. But the cup is going to be massively important as well because we didn't do great in the cup last year. And that's one thing I want to rectify. Obviously, the Champions League, we made it to the round of 16. We're going to be moving now on to the league phase. So I would like to try and make it out of the league phase. Obviously, breaking into the top 8 to qualify straight away is going to be a little rough. If we have to play in the knockouts, I'm perfectly happy about it. I would say I want us to at least reach the knockouts. The knockouts of the round of 16 I'd be very, very happy with. And once again, it helps with our reputation. It also gets us a lot of money because playing the Champions League, yeah, you make about 30 or 40 million a season, which is absolutely wild. And the more money we can get, the better players we can bring in. I think we've built an absolutely ridiculous team that's going to score a lot of goals. But boys, that's enough messing about. Obviously, I'll bring us back in January if there's anybody available for purchase signs, and hoping our youth intake is a wee bit better than it was last year. It was 2 stars out of 5. Look, the FM gods really don't like me when it comes to youth intakes. They just absolutely hate me. But joking aside, boys, this is the team going into season 2. I think we can do some serious damage, so let's go play. So boys, we're at the end of season 2. Obviously the youth intake wasn't great if yeah, we're here already. But my goal for the season, once again, look, it's the same as every year. Of course, I want to win the league every year. Is it realistic? I don't know. In this league, I feel like we can. The Premiership obviously is a little more difficult because it's there's a lot of bigger teams. It's just between us and Celtic. As long as we can win our games against Celtic, we can win the league. Obviously, want to do better in the Cup. And then the Champions League, look, I think we did fantastic last year. Made it to the round of 16. If we can get to there again, I'll be very, very happy. Obviously, as the years go on and our team gets better, I'll want to push up the Champions League a little bit. I would love to try and make it to a final at some point. But is it realistic? I don't know. It just depends how much money the board. That's one thing I will give the board. They have been pretty good with giving us cash. They give us another like 12 million in January, which is amazing. So, yeah, in this save in Scotland, I've got more money in January and in the January or the summer transfer window than I did playing for Crystal Palace in the Premiership. But boys, that's enough messing about. Let's see how we did in the league. So we started things off in the league with a nice 5-0 win over Hearts. Celtic then absolutely obliterated us 4-1. We did get our revenge in a very, very weird match. We beat them 3-1, but as you can see up here, yeah, they scored 2 OGs. They made a nice 1-0 win over Aberdeen. Then right at the end of the season, we give Celtic a nice slapping 5-2. Look, this is nice to get a good result against them. And also, DeBas got himself a hat-trick. Not bad from defensive midfield. Which meant, boys, 2 years in a row, we've won the league. Look, this is what I want to do with this rebuild. Look, it's been a long time since Rangers have had a wee bit of a reign of terror. And this is what I want to do, is just try and win the league as much as possible. Obviously, I wasn't too sure how the first 2 seasons were going to go because I wasn't too sure how much money we're going to get. But like I said, the board has been absolutely fantastic. We played 38 games, 34 wins. We had 2 draws and 2 defeats, 1 to St Mirren and 1 to Celtic. The St Mirren game we should be winning. The Celtic game obviously can go anyway. We had 107 goal difference on 104 points. So not as far ahead this year in regards to points. But yeah, our goal difference is yeah, it's pretty good. Big Esposito is down here for the top goal score. He scored 30. Tavernier, once again, Looks like he had an absolutely fucking fantastic season. He's in there for average ratings. Esposito was also in there for average ratings. In assists, Tavernier, Diamande, and Hadji. It's wild that Tavernier is also, he's going to be retiring. So, yeah, that's a little disappointing. But his stats started, or his attributes have started to go downhill a little bit. But it doesn't seem to be stopping him with regards to like assists and average ratings. Then we also had Esposito and Tavernier in there for player of the match. Butland in there for clean sheets. So we probably scored a lot of goals if we only have, we're top of the clean sheets as well. So the overall stats, most points in a game is us by 2.74. We scored 130 goals. Fair play to Celtic. Celtic also scored 100 goals as well. Most shots for was us by, once again, nearly 300. Fewer shots against was actually us, which is surprising. Celtic once again right in there behind us. Most clean sheets, we had 20, Celtic were on 19, and then our United had 12, so fair play to them. Fewest conceded, 23. So we conceded 23 goals, scored 130. But like I said, look, we built a very, very good team in the summer. I'd have been very, very disappointed if we wouldn't have won the league. Honestly, this team would probably do pretty well in the Premiership. The boys, then that takes us over into the Scottish Cup. We started things off in the 4th round against Partick Thistle. We beat them 5-2. We got Hearts in the 5th round of the Cup. We smashed them 4-0. That then took us to the quarterfinals against Kilmarnock. We beat them 2-0. We then breezed past St Mirren in the semi-finals to win 4-1. So it took us to our first Scottish Cup final, where we faced off against Celtic. They started off the scoring in the 55th minute. And yeah, unfortunately, that was the only goal of the game. So they won the cup. This does suck, but look, the positives I have to take out of this is last year we got put out very early in the couple. Was it like the 5th round or something we went out? We made it to the whole way to the final. Obviously, if you make it to a final, you want to fucking win it. But look, we're progressing, and that's the main thing. So we've got the league in the bag. We made it to the final of the Scottish Cup. Let's go see how we did in the Champions League. So we started things off against Leon. We smashed them 5-1. We then get absolutely obliterated 6-0 by Barcelona. The amount of yellow cards we had, and then we also had a man sent off, is absolutely wild. But look, this is disappointing, but it's fucking Barcelona. We then also had a 2-1 defeat to Ajax. I just noticed they have Sadio Mane. Look, he's not as good as he used to be, but like it's still a pretty good signing for Ajax. We then bounced back in our next match against Trabzonspor. I think that's how you pronounce this. We beat them 1-0. Had a fantastic 3-1 win over Atalanta. We then also beat Juventus 1-0. We then drew each away to that team that, yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. A 2-each draw against these. This is a game, once again, we should be winning. The shit results didn't stop then. We also could be 1-0 by Lask. So the last 2 matches, we should definitely be winning. So then in the league phase, we ended up finishing 12th. This is very, very respectable. Look, Barcelona's behind us. Tottenham, Dortmund, Atalanta. I mean, you've Juventus down there, Benfica. So look, breaking into this top sort of 8 teams, it's a little difficult. But look, I'm very, very happy. As long as we qualify, I don't care if it's in the green or it's in the blue, as long as we get through to the next round. So that means because we finished 12th, we go to the knockouts, where we got a very, very good draw against that team once again that I'm not going to try and pronounce, but we beat them 3-1 in the first leg. We then took them back to Ibrox and smashed them 3-0. Esposito got himself a hat-trick and we went through 6-1, which means we're into the round of 16, where we had an absolutely amazing result against AC Milan and Ibrox. We beat them 3-0 in the first leg. And at the San Siro, I think a very, very respectable 2-each draw with him. So that means because of the first leg, we go through 5-2, which means we're into the quarterfinals, where we faced off once again against Atalanta. We seem to be playing them a lot. We started off the scoring through Young Naipan. They hit back 10 minutes later through Edison. Lukman then made a 2-1 to Atalanta. But in the 74th minute, we hit back through Big Esposito to make it 2-each on the night, which meant going into the second leg, it being 2-each, it could go anyway. Atalanta started off the scoring in the 20th minute. They added a second 10 minutes later. And in the 86th minute, they hit back to score a third for us to go out 5-2. Look, this absolutely sucks. After getting... Look, here's the thing as well. We also obliterated Atalanta in the league phase, which is the most disappointing thing. And then we drew them 2-each, which I was perfectly fine with. I think it's a good result against a very, very good team. But then they get beat 3-0 in the next match. I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very disappointed. But look, all in all, look, we won the league, made it to the final of the cup, made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League in our second season. I'm happy, but I'm also a little disappointed too. So then moving over into the team performances, Butland played 61 games, conceded 54, but 27 clean sheets. But yeah, the bad thing is he's also wanted by Man City. Badiashile in his first season did very, very well. 54 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists. He's also starting to progress a little bit. He just came back from a little injury, so that's why he's got a few down arrows. Who wants him? Wolfsburg, they're not getting them. And then Big Dragosin, of course, played 40 games, 7 off the bench and 4 assists. Look, I would love to keep him. He's a very, very good player. But like I said, it's that, what is it, 24 million? I don't even know how much money we got. We'll check that after. But look, I would love to keep him in the club. But I don't know if we've got 24 million. Young Dorgu, of course, playing on the left-hand side, played 45 games, 6 goals, 10 assists. He's upset he's spaghetti because apparently he's not playing as a complete wing-back, even though that wasn't agreed in his loan deal. But here we are. And then once again, Tavernier had a fantastic season. 49 games played, 16 goals and 23 assists. I don't know why he's so fucking good, because he's shit. Like, look over here. He is not good, but he just seems to... let's go to his performances last year, right? He played 41 games. He had 20 goals and 15 assists. That's 35 goal involvements in one season. And then he got what? How many assists? 16 goals and fucking 23 assists a season. I don't know why he's so good. I'm actually kind of up. I really wish he was like mid to late 20s, because I would love to keep him. He just seems to perform really well. But like I said, he is going to be retiring. I have offered him a new contract. He's getting no interest. He says he wants to leave and retire. Look, I don't know what makes him so good. Maybe just like is because his crossing is good and like penalty taking, a free kick taken. I don't know. Just apparently he's just amazing, even though he's not. And of course, the two big boys in the middle of the park, DeBast played 27 games, 3 goals, 4 assists. Oscardo played 49 games, 6 goals, 7 assists. Big man Hadji had a really, really good season. 42 games, 20 goals, 16 assists. This formation is absolutely fucking fantastic. So once again, round of applause to the big man GYR. He's absolutely smashed out of the park. His fucking tactics are always amazing. Like I said, the tactic will be available for everybody in the pinned comments down below. I'll leave his video for the people on console so you can go copy all the player stats, and then obviously I'll leave the PC link for everybody to just go and download. But like, Hadji, once again, a great season. And of course, young Naipan played 49 games, 16 goals, 9 assists. Look, loads of green hours going up. We know he's absolutely fantastic, and he's still got a long way to go to improve. He's only 19 years old, but like, I think he's got to be amazing. Then the big man Diamande played 60 games, 22 goals and 25 assists, so 47 goal involvements in 60 games. And look at all the green arrows going up. Look how good he is over here now. Honestly, I don't want to look at this because he's wanted. I'm hoping it's not a big club. It's even Tottenham, because they're in the Premiership, is going to be rough. The worst thing is, because we're in Scotland, if he was in the Premiership, he's 60 to 70 million at the minute easy. Like, I could get 60 to 70 million easy for him, but because we're in Scotland, it's 25 to 20. The most I'll probably end up getting is like over 30 million, which is ridiculous. I don't want to sell him because he's amazing. Look, if they put a bid in, I'm just going to reject it, see what happens. But like, I would really like to keep him. But if the Premiership comes knocking, it's going to be difficult. Then the big man, Esposito, up top, 49 games played, 53 goals, 2 assists. I have also confirmed the signing of him. Of course, he had in his loan deal the 9 million optional fee. I activated it in January. Look, I said to you, as soon as I can get the money and we can activate this, I'm definitely doing it. Look, he's one I want to keep at the club. 6'2". He's just amazing. Look, he's a fucking goal machine. If you haven't played with Esposito, please do yourself a favor and go and get him. So this is the team at the end of the season. Obviously, Tavernier is not going to be here and Dragosin is not going to be here, but the rest of the team I'm very, very happy with. Dorgu, actually I just lied to you, is also not going to be here. So our backline is going to be a little thin next year. Obviously, we may just have to loan some players in and stuff. I don't know how much money the board has given us. They fucking... that I'm very, very happy with. 37 million for a team in Scotland. This is more money than I was getting in a Premiership at Crystal Palace. So the board actually likes me in this save. 37 million I can do a lot of damage with. Obviously, I would like a centre back, and then the fullbacks is the hard part, because fullbacks and wingbacks are very, very expensive. Like, if you want to buy them, they get very, very expensive. So we may end up just loaning a few people in again, and we just have to play it like that. I'm actually really upset that Tavernier is retiring. I would love to keep him for another season. I don't know why he's so good. If anybody in the comments down below knows why Tavernier is so good, obviously he has the consistency trait and enjoys the big matches and all that sort of stuff, all that jazz. But maybe it's like his free kick taken, his penalty taken, and his crossing. So like, maybe he's hitting our free kicks, and then he's also whipping a lot of crosses in and stuff. I don't know what it is, but the big man has been absolutely smashing it the last 2 years. Like I said, I'm kind of up. I wish he was in his early to mid 20s, dude. We would keep him for the rest of the save. But boys, that is the end of season 2. Let's jump over into season 3. So boys, the only player that went out the door, obviously we knew this was going to happen, was Diamande. Real Madrid came in and offered for him It was a really, really low ball offer. Spurs come in and offered for him, and I think it was Aston Villa. He ended up choosing Spurs. Look, we knew he was going to leave if the Premiership comes knocking. It's very, look, I'm actually upset about this one because he's so fucking good. It's amazing that he starts at Rangers and ends up this good. It's absolutely wild. So we started off, we got a total of 35 million up front, working its way up to 55 million, which I think is a really, really good deal. Didn't think we were going to get that amount of money, but look, as a player I didn't want to lose, but look, at least we got 55 million for him. So we were able to confirm the signing of Radu Dragusin. There was actually less than what his optional fee was going to be for his loan deal. We ended up getting him for a total of 16.5 million. If you remember, it was like 24 million for his optional fee. I just kind of lowballed it. Started at like 14 million. They said no. It worked our way up to 16.5. They said yes, and I was like, okay. Look, is he absolutely world class? No, but he's a very, very good defender. He's 24 years old. 6'3", and for 16.5 million, I think a really good signing. So then obviously with Diamande going out the door, we were going to need to replace him, and boys, I'm not going to lie, our options were very limited. So I went and got Gabriel Vega for absolutely free. Look, the kid's absolutely fucking fantastic. 24, he's 6 foot, he can play with both feet, he's got a good mentality, he's consistent, he enjoys the big games, pretty good all round, technically, mentally very, very good, physically very, very good, and he has room to improve. As you can see, could still improve significantly. And like I said, we get rid of Diamande for what, 55 million, and brought him in for nothing, so it's like a massive profit. So we did end up also losing Jack Butland. Look, he didn't want to sign in our contract, he was going to end up leaving, so we just sold him on the Leeds. Fortunately, didn't get a lot of cash from him, he wasn't worth a lot, so we got 2.8 million. He was like 1.1 to 2.5, which is weird because he's a very, very good keeper, and as you can see in the Premiership, he's already valued at nearly 15 million. So look, we had to go and get ourselves another keeper. So I went and got us Nicholas Heidel, who I honestly believe is a massive, massive improvement. Kid's absolutely fantastic. Still only 25 as well. 6'2", very, very good all round. As you can see, aerial communication are absolutely fantastic. Cost us a total of 12.5 million, which I think all in all is a very, very good deal for a very good keeper. So we were also going to need a right back and a left back. So I went and got us Connor Bradley from Liverpool. This is on a season loan. As you can see, you go in the loan. The funny thing is, it's not costing us any money. They didn't want any money. We just had to pay, I think it was like 60% of his wages, and that was pretty much it. So look, we get to loan a good player in, a right back, and it's not going to cost us anything. I'm down. But we were also going to need a left back because obviously our options are very limited. So I went and got Milas Kerkez. He was on the transfer list, so I actually went and paid for him. It cost us a total of 15 million from Bournemouth. Look, obviously in real life, he's went to Liverpool. This kid is absolutely fantastic. In the next FM, he's going to be really, really good. But good luck trying to get him because obviously he'll be at Liverpool. But look, 22 years old, 5'9", but he's really, really physical. Honestly, his strength should be a lot higher, and this should be like 14 or 15 easily. But look, high determination, bravery, anticipation, physical stats, and like I said, mental stats are really, really good. And for 15 million, I think a really good player. So with everybody in the door, this is what the starting lineup will look like. Hadel, Kerkez, Badishebu, Dragusin, Bradley. The Bast is currently upset because Aston Villa come in and offered. I don't want to sell the Bast, I really don't. Mascardo, Vega, Haji, Naipan is also transfer listed now, as you can see over here. So he came to me and was like, I want to go and play for a stronger squad and I want to move away from the club. I was like, okay, but you have a buyer clause at least in your contract. So look, if we're going to lose him, it's only 23.5 million. I don't want to lose him. I'm hoping if nobody offers the straight 23.5 million, maybe by the time we get to January or by the time we get to the next summer, he's kind of happy to stay at the team. We'll just kind of wing this one and see how it goes over time. So like I said, Vega, Haji and Naipan in behind Esposito. This is going to be the team for season 3. Look, I think we've built a very, very good team. Once again, I want us to fight for the league. I want to win the fucking cup. Look, we made it to the final last year. I would like to win the cup at some point before we finish this rebuild. And once again, just do what we've been doing in the Champions League. Try and get to the round of the 16 or past that. Obviously, we got to the quarterfinals. I'll just keep doing what we're doing in the Champions League and the league. I think we're doing very, very well. All in all, the whole rebuild's going really well. We also have a bunch of really, really good players. I did find one wonder kid that looks amazing, but he has no interest in coming to us, I think, because he's only 16. And it's this young guy here, Ibrahim Doumbaya. I don't know how. Look, he plays defensive midfield and center midfield. He's got an amazing mentality. He's super consistent. He's a buy clause of 16 million. On top of that, look, 5'10", but he's got 20 determination, teamwork, work rate, and vision are all absolutely fantastic. He has that good marking, good passing, good tackling and technique. It makes a really, really good box-to-box player. Mental stats for 16 are insane. Physicals are wild, absolutely wild. He's got 13 strength already, 16 pace, good agility, good balance, good natural fitness. He can play with both feet. He's one I would like to get into the team at some point, but like I said, obviously with him being 16 years old, he has no interest. I can't even loan him in because you can't loan anybody from Spain unless they're 18. So we would have to at least wait 2 years. The only downside is this: if he's playing for Getafe, at least he's getting football and progressing. But he's going to be very, very difficult to get because obviously they're going to offer him a new contract, and then everybody in Spain needs a release clause. So this is one I want to keep an eye on. Look, this could be, if we were to ever lose Dabasta or Moscardo, this is a guy I would like to bring in to replace him if we can get our hands on him. But that's enough messing about. Obviously, I'll bring you back in January if there's anybody good for approach designs. And then the youth intake was once again, we got up to 3 stars this time. Boys, it was still terrible. I was hoping 5-star youth recruitment things will be a little better in this rebuild. But look, I'll bring us back in April if the youth intake is good. If not, then you'll see us at the end of the season. So boys, let's go play season 3. So boys, we're at the end of season 3. In January, we had a few casualties of war before we jump into the results. So we lost Big Badis Shebu to Napoli. Of course, he had a release clause on his contract. Unfortunately, I could not get that out whenever we signed him. He wouldn't sign unless he had one. This is annoying because this was going to be one that's going to be our captain this year. So yeah, unfortunately, like I said, they came in January, 24.5 million for his release clause, which absolutely sucked. He's one I didn't want to lose. And on top of that, we also lost Naipan, but we knew about the whole Naipan situation. He wanted to leave to go to a stronger squad. So Man United came in and activated that. That was 23.5 million. So losing 2 big players in January, not the greatest. I was able to replace one of those players. Obviously, we'll get into that after all the results and stuff. But like, this put us in a wee bit of a bad situation. Like, we lost our starting centre back, future captain, and then of course Naipan. We knew this was going to happen, but I was kind of hoping if we just played him enough, he would just stick around and want to play, and then just... But it clearly didn't happen. But let's jump over, see how we did in the league. So we started things off with a fantastic 1-0 win over Celtic, then a nice 2-0 win over Aberdeen, then we had a 2-each draw at Celtic Park, we then absolutely obliterated Kilmarnock 6-0, then we had a fantastic 2-0 win over Celtic, which meant, boys, for the 3rd year in a row, we won the league. This is, like I said, exactly where I wanted us to be. We want to start our own reign of terror. If I can win this 5 years in a row, it would be absolutely fantastic. Look, we had a really, really good season, 38 games played, 36 wins, 2 draws, 0 defeats, 96 goal difference. So it wasn't as high as last year, but obviously we lost a wee bit of firepower and we lost a wee bit of sort of juice in the back line with losing Badishebu. But we had 110 points, which is absolutely insane. Celtic were the closest team to us with 91. Big Esposito, 42 goals just in the league alone. He actually got a couple of injuries. He didn't start for the first sort of like 6 or 7 games because Hadji he was the top goal scorer for a little bit. But Hadji, another fantastic season. He's also signed a new contract. So 42 and then 24. Then they're both in there for average ratings. Hadji with 21 assists. Connor Bradley with 12. And Miles Kirkes with 11. Moscardo is in there for yellow cards. He's second. I'm kind of disappointed. Look, if you're going to get a bunch of yellow cards in my team, at least make sure you're first, all right? Idell is in there for clean sheets. Once again, I would have liked them to be first, but look, it is what it is. And then we have Esposito and Hadji in there for player of the matches. If you go up to the team overall stats, most points per game is us at 2.89, just ahead of Celtic. We scored 126 goals. Celtic scored 97. So they were reasonably close. Most shots for is us by 200. And then a few shots against the Celtic were pretty close to them, to be honest. Most clean sheets, once again, were right in there. Celtic Samirin, surprisingly ahead of us, and then Fuse conceded. They had 28, we had 30. So look, we conceded 28 goals, scored 126. Look, I would say that's a pretty successful season in the league, boys. So then that takes us over into the Scottish Cup in the 4th round. We had a really, really close match against Alloway. We beat them 10-1. Then that took us to the 5th round against a Green Knock Morton. We beat them 6-0. So that's 16 goals in 2 games. Then in the quarterfinals, we faced off against Inverness. We beat them 6-1. So once again, that's 22 goals in 3 games. Then in the semi-final, we faced off against Aberdeen. We beat them 4-2, which takes us to another final, boys. Here, of course, we faced off against Celtic, because let's be honest, who else are we going to play? But we actually started off the scoring through Hadji. Big Vega then made a 2-0 with an absolute screamer. And to wrap things off, Esposito with a penalty for us to win 3. So finally, boys, it took us 3 seasons, but we did it. We won the cup. These rebuilds, I don't know what it is, bro. I can win the league. I could probably win the Champions League before I win most cups. But like, this is absolutely fantastic. Also, Vega's goal was an absolute fucking screamer. But to win 3-0 and win the cup, like, just in such fantastic fashion is really, really good. So that is the league in the bag. That is the cup in the bag. Let's see who did in the Champions League. So we started things off in the league phase against Sevilla. We drew with them 2 each. Then we get absolutely slapped around by PSG, but let's be honest, it's PSG. They're technically the European champions. Then we drew 0-0 with Dortmund. This is weird. There was no yellow cards or nothing. It was just apparently nobody turned up. Then we beat that team 5-2 that I'm not even going to try and pronounce. Every time I do a save, we always run into this team. I think Football Manager knows. They're like, Mark, try and pronounce it. No, I'm not going to do it. 1-5-2. Then we beat Feyenoord 2-1 in Rotterdam. We then drew 2-each with Bayern Munich. We then beat PSV 3-2. And in our final league phase match, we beat Brøndby 2-0. So that took us from the league phase. We ended up finishing 11th. Look, we're just slowly climbing up and up and up and up. This is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, look, I would love to be in the green at some point, but obviously as long as we qualify, that's all counts. But that takes us on to the knockouts, where we faced off against Borussia Dortmund, beat them 2-0 in the first leg. We then beat them 2-0 at Ibrox. So this is a fantastic result. We played Borussia Dortmund twice. They didn't score a goal. We didn't concede a goal. So that means we go through to the round of 16. We faced off against Bayern Munich. We started off the scoring through Big Esposito. 20 minutes later, Esposito made a 2-0 with a lovely touch. He got one back right at the end of the game in the 94th minute. We also had a man sent off at this point. So beating Bayern 2-1 on the night, pretty happy. So in Munich in the second leg, we had everything to play for. We actually started off the scoring through Young Cortez. Bayern Munich got one back pretty much straight away. 2 minutes later, they got another goal for some terrible defending from us. They got another one, then another one, and then Kane scored for another one. We did get one back right at the end of the game, but unfortunately it was too much for us, and yeah, Bayern Munich put us out 6-4, but look, we did fantastic. Once again, we did the same thing that we keep doing all the time. We play amazing in one leg, and then just get fucking obliterated in the second leg. We honestly did fantastic in the first leg. To have a man sent off in the 54th minute, which was a centre back at this point, look, we did really, really well to beat Bayern 2-1, and then just, like I said, they just strolled. I'm not going to be too upset at this, because Bayern Munich, look, as good as our team is right now, we're still progressing. We got a lot of young players, and it's fucking Bayern Munich. Their team's amazing, so I'm going to take this as a positive. But like I said, we need to stop getting destroyed in one of those legs, but we can just progress. And like I said, on top of that, also losing Bade Shebu and Naipan didn't help our situation at all. But like I said, there's no excuses from us. Look, we just got beat by a vastly superior team on the night we did, but we won the first match. So player ratings: Hadel played 59 games, conceded 62, 22 clean sheets. Who's interested in him? I'd say most of those teams we can fight off. So with Bade Shebu obviously going out the door to Napoli in January, I had to drop the Bast in the centre back. So he played 49 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. Big Dragosin played 32 games, 14 off the bench, 2 goals, 9 assists. He had a few injuries. He's also wanted as well. Once again, all those teams we get were easy. Big Kirkes, 42 games, 2 goals, 17 assists. He's also wanted as well. Sevilla want like 3/4 of our team. Of course, young Connor Bradley in on loan from Liverpool. 44 games started, 3 off the bench, 3 goals, 19 assists. Big Mascardo in the middle of the park, 49 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists. So the person I did bring in on loan from Barcelona was Marc Bernal to play in the centre of the park with Mosquito. This is one I would like to confirm the deal, but he obviously doesn't want to sign for. So I have put in for another loan deal for another year. As you can see, the bids going in up here. He did get injured as well, but he played 22 games, 4 goals, 7 assists. He's also 6'2", played reasonably well with both feet. Got a good mentality. He's consistent. He's still only 19. So look, if we can loan him in for another year and then maybe buy him down the line, give him a couple of years of football, we'll see what it is. Look, if we can get him on loan and it costs us absolutely hardly anything from Barcelona, this is a win for us. So then moving over to one of the new boys, Gabriel Vega, played 57 games, 25 goals and 13 assists. Of course, he's also wanted. Who wants him? Brentford and Leipzig, they're not getting him. Then of course with Naipan going out the door in January, our options were very, very limited. I couldn't find anybody that I wanted to slot into the team right away. We were going to get our pants pulled down for the price. So I didn't want to do it because I don't want to put the club in a bad financial situation. So I just basically played Kieran Doyle there. Instead, he played 45 games, 14 goals, 16 assists. So no, I mean, like 30 goal involvements in 45 games. Pretty good. And the big Haman Haji had another great season. 54 games, 31 goals, 27 assists. So what's that? Like 58 goal involvements in 54 games. Oh God, he's wanted. It's going to be the Saudi League, isn't it? It's Brentford. Dude, between Brentford and Sevilla, they're after everybody. The big man, Esposito, up top, had an absolute banger. 51 games played, 66 goals, 4 assists, and a 7.6 for the season. Look, the big man's enjoying in Scotland. Obviously playing in this league, the same as like whenever you play in like the Dutch league or you play in Portugal and stuff, there's a couple of good teams and then the rest of them are like Sunday league teams. But look, it doesn't matter what league you score. If you score 66 goals in a season, you're doing very, very well. This team is very, very good. Obviously, we're not going to have Bradley next year. Dole, we probably need to replace. Bernal, I am in the process of bringing him in, and so I'll be happy to keep him in. Kirk is, DeBast and Dragson happy enough with that. Heidel, Bernal and Moscardo in the middle of the park. Vega, Hadji and Esposito. So we're going to need an attacking midfielder and we're going to need a right back. The wing backs or full backs are always the hardest thing to try and find. It really is. I may end up just loaning somebody in or bring somebody in full time and then loan somebody in to play an attacking midfield. We'll just have to see what our options are on the loan list and on the transfer list. We do currently have a total of 39 million, obviously with the money from Badishebu and the money from what's his name? Naipan, but just his name completely left my head there for a second. Like with those two, we had a wee bit of money left over. So obviously the board has decided to give us a wee bit of cash. One thing I did notice whenever I went into the finances is they were only giving us 60% of the transfer revenue. So yeah, I have asked this for this to go up. I've asked again now. I want to get this up to 100%. Look, we're not really overly selling that many players right now, so like I'm not really too bothered about this, but like this is probably the reason why the board's giving us these amount of money, because they're fucking stealing like 40% of it. But all in all, boys, look, a very, very good season. We won the league, we won the cup and made it to the round of 16 again in the Champions League. Look, I know I shouldn't be disappointed, but I kind of am a little bit disappointed because that win against Bayern Munich in the first leg was fucking fantastic. And we had a man sent off, and then we go into the second leg, hyped up, and get fucking smashed 5-2. It's just, we needed, against the big teams again, we need to perform better in either the first leg or the second leg, because one of those legs we always do poorly in. But if we can just change that a little bit, and like I said, we've got a few young players, I think we do need to start like upgrading a little bit, but we have to increase our reputation for that. But all in all, boys, look, a absolutely fantastic third season. Let's move over into season 4. So boys, then moving over into season 4, honestly, there's not a lot about the team I overly wanted to change. I think we're in a good spot. Obviously, we need an attacking midfielder, we need a right back, but we also need a centre back because we're gonna need to replace Badishebu, who left, Naipan also left, and then obviously Connor Bradley went back to Liverpool. So yeah, I think we've done pretty well. The first person I brought in was young Desire Doué. This is in on a season loan from PSG. He's worth 2 million for the whole year, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Look, really, really skillful player, really, really good on the ball. Exactly what we need is an attacking midfielder. He's not currently playing at a massive high level because PSG obviously haven't played him a lot. I would love to bring him in, but it's optional fees 103 million, and yeah, we're Rangers, not PSG. Then on top of that, like I said, we were also gonna need a centre back. So I found this young guy. Look, he paid a total of about 18 million, I think was. Yeah, he had a release clause, so we basically had to pay it. I'm not gonna lie, it was between us, Aston Villa and Juventus. I'm actually very, very surprised he came to us. Obviously, I had to give him decent wages, so he's on like 80,000. I know it's not ideal for what we want to do, but like we're making a lot of money and we're not spending a lot of money, so we're doing pretty well financially. Look, this kid is absolutely disgusting. He's 6'2", strong on one foot, very strong with the other foot. He's got dark green for mentality, super consistent. He's 18, still has room to improve. His physical stats are absolutely insane. He's got 13 acceleration, 13 pace, 15 agility, 18 balance, 15 jump and reach, 14 natural fitness, and he's 12 for stamina and 12 for strength at 18 years old. On top of that, his mental stats are also very, very good. 16 work rate, 14 positioning, 19 determination, 13 decisions, 14 concentration, 13 composure, 14 anticipation, and he's got really high aggression at 18. Heading is fantastic at 16. Tackling is also fantastic at 17. If you go into his development, as you can see, I'm currently working on his passing. This will cover passing, technique, and vision. Probably two of those things he's not great at. As you can see, he's got 10 passing and 10 vision. I don't need these to be 14, 15, 16. If we can get them up to like 12, 13 in a row. I just need him to be able to pick up the ball and like have some vision. I don't want like two hands over his eyes where he can't pass the ball 3 foot. Obviously, he's playing as a centre back, so we don't need to worry about it too much. But this is a replacement for Badishebu. Look, I think this kid is going to be unreal. But the thing is, we're Rangers. Are we going to be able to hold on to him? Because in his contract, he's got a 21.5 million release clause. Obviously, when it gets to January or something, I'm going to try and get this out of his contract because if we pay, look, it's different if we pay 18 million and then his release clause is 50, 60 million. Look, it sucks, but at least you're getting really fucking good money for him. I don't want an extra 3.5 million. I want an extra, I want to make a profit of 20, 30, 40 million, not 3.5. So when this gets to January, I'm going to try and get this out of his contract. Obviously, we're going to have to give him a wee bit more money, which once again sucks a little bit, but to keep him at the club, if I stick a release clause of like 70 or 80 million in, I'll be happy enough if I lose him. So then this is what the team is going to look like. Obviously, like you know, we need a right back. I'm going to bring somebody in from the youth team this may make us a little weaker for a little bit, but I think the kid has potential, but he's gonna need to be played. And it's this young guy, Ian Fox. Obviously, we don't have a lot of money left over, so like I can't just go out and spend a ton of cash on people. So I'm gonna bring young Ian Fox up into the first team. Look, the kid has a ton of potential. Look, if he gets a 3-star, gets a star and a half better in this, he can end up being our starting right back, or until we can find a good right back, and then he can be the backup for that person. But our options are very, very limited at the minute. Look, like I said, I know it's going to make us a little weaker, but the only way the kid's going to get better is if we do play him. Look, he has some good potential. 16 determination, work rate's good, teamwork is good, technique is good, mental stats are very, very good. He's also 6'2". He's got a good mentality. He's also Scottish, so it's going to help us with registration. So we're going to throw him in. Obviously, I'm going to be working on his ball control with him, with his dribbling, his first touch, and his technique. I'd like him to be able to carry the ball a little bit. But look, we'll throw him in for half a season or a season, see how he gets on. If I get to January and I feel like he's kind of hindering the team, I'll loan him out and then I'll bring somebody else in that's a little better. But look, I love bringing in youth players, and that's one thing I do want to do, because obviously, look, we've got 5-star youth recruitment, but our 3 youth intakes have been absolutely horrendous. So we're just going to have to bring some players in. I'm trying to find players cheap. Look, I know we brought Daniels in for 18 million. It's not cheap, especially for the Scottish League. But look, unfortunately, sometimes when you're banned players, I'm going to try and find some South American players. There is a few I'm very, very interested in, but obviously they're only like 16, 17, so they don't want to leave the clubs yet. And honestly, from South America, you can't leave till you're 18 anyway. So we're just going to have to wait till they're 18. But I've got a few on the short list that we'll have a little look at, because you can get them. Like if you buy Daniels, say Daniels played in the Premiership, you're talking 25 to 40 million. But if you get them from South America, you can get them for like 5, 10, 15 million. So like, no, I mean, we're going to have to sort of look at that side of the world and then just kind of bring them in, play them. If we lose them for big money, it's okay. Then we're going to have to turn this club into like a money factory for like young players, because obviously no matter how good we get, if Real Madrid come knocking, the Premiership come knocking, we're always going to lose those players, and it kind of sucks a little bit. But boys, this is going to be the team for season 4. Obviously, if there's anybody good in January, I'll bring you back for the approach to science. At this point, I feel like I've just give up on the youth intakes. I would really like to get even just one really decent player. But look, it is what it is. If we can't get people coming through the youth intake, we'll just bring them in ourselves. But everybody, let's go play season 4. So boys, we've got the January, and yeah, there's been a few casualties of war. You've probably noticed on this screen. Bayern came in and offered for Gabriel Vega. Look, we got good money for a guy that we literally paid nothing for, but it's a person I don't want to lose because he was playing amazing for us. Like I said, we got him for nothing. We got 35 million up front, working its way up to 50 million. So we made 50 million on a player that we paid absolutely nothing for. But like I said, he's 25. He's a really, really good player all around. Didn't want to lose him. But unfortunately, we have to remember where we're playing. Yeah, we're in Scotland. And when the big clubs come knocking, we can't do much about it. But he wasn't the only one that left in January. Because boys, but the big Esposito left. I'm not crying, yous are, but joking aside, this is actually kind of annoying. I would rather lose him in the summer instead of in the middle of a fucking season. Real Madrid came knocking. Once again, we can't do fuck all about it. But we did. Once again, we got decent money. Look, we paid 9 million for Esposito a couple seasons ago. They give us 42 million, working its way up to 65 million. That's like 115 million for a Scottish club is absolutely wild for 2 players. Like, we're making really, really good money. But like I said, it's more the timing than losing the player, because we just losing them in the middle of the season, it's hard to replace because you get your pants pulled down for the price for players. So with Gabriel Vega out the door, our options are very, very limited with regards to, like I said, who we can get in the door. 1, because we're playing in Scotland, and 2, everybody is massively overpriced, because obviously as players are playing through the season, they're scoring goals, they're getting good ratings, they're getting assists, their money goes up. So when they drop back down to the summer, they drop back down to the normal value, and then halfway through the season they're very expensive. So I went and got this little guy, Brazilian Elisier. That's probably not how you pronounce it, but I would say we did pretty well, right? We did pretty well. Look, he's got a good mentality, can play fantastic at both feet. He's only 18 years old. He's got 14 dribbling, 16 finishing, 15 first touch. I'm currently working on his passing and vision with him, because obviously if he's going to play in his attacking midfielder, he's going to be our Gabriel Vega replacement. He's got 14 technique. His teamwork and work rate is fantastic at 14 and 15. Mental stats are really good. 13 off the ball, 13 leadership, 14 flair, 12 determination, a little lower than what I would want it to be, but look, it is what it is. 13 decision making, 16 composure, which is wild. Physical stats are all 13, 14, 15 apart from strength, but he's only a team. We can work on that. And look, we didn't have to pay a ton of money. 12.5 million, which I think he had a buyout clause, so we had to go and pay it. I think this is a really, really good player. Obviously a little different than Gabriel Vega. He's a wee bit more explosive. Gabriel Vega is a little bit more well-rounded, but it adds a wee bit of explosive, that wee bit of va-va-voom to your team, boys. Obviously, we were also going to need a striker with Esposito leaving. So I've actually went and got us Cheeto Obi Martin. I don't know why I fucked up the start of that. Look, once again, like I said, our options were very, very limited. And Man United had him on the transfer list because he obviously wasn't playing. They have a ton of really, really good players. Look, 20 years old, 6'1". I am going to work on his weaker foot, but he's got a fantastic mentality. Look, in this database, he's very, very good. 15 dribbling, 15 finishing, 14 first touch. Once again, I'm working on his passing and his vision. His passing's pretty solid, 11, something we are going to work on. Good technique. He has 15 off the ball, 14 flair, 15 determination, 16 composure, 13 anticipation. Physical stats are very, very good as well. And like I said, we didn't have to pay an absolute shit ton of money. 15 million working its way up to 20, which isn't bad from banning him from a Premiership team. And look, he's one for the future. Obviously, not as good as Esposito, so this is a little bit of a downgrade. But the other players that I was looking at, they were wanting like 45, 50, 60 million. And I know we have the cash, but I don't want to get our pants pulled down for a player that's like 30 million in the summer. I don't want to be paying 45, 50, 60 million for him just because we're playing in January. So look, Cheeto, one, a person I've never played with in FM, so this is a little bit of fun as well. And two, look, he does have the potential. 2.5 star has anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5. If he gets to 4 star and gets another star and a half better than this, we could have a really, really good player in our hands. It's just unfortunate we lost Vega and Esposito in January. So boys, we're at the end of season 4. Obviously, youth intake wasn't great. If we're here already, it's wild that it's season 4 finished already. Obviously, with Esposito and Vega leaving, it's the season, I would say, still went pretty well, but obviously we lost a wee bit of firepower with those two players. Obviously, Esposito was a world-class striker. Vega was pretty close to a world-class midfielder, but we did pretty well replacing them. Let's go and see how we did in the league. So we started the season off strong with a 2-1 win over Celtic. Had a very hard-fought match against Hibs. We beat them 10-0. Had a great 2-0 win at Celtic Park. And a fantastic 5-0 win over Dundee. And obviously with all those results, boys, we've retained the league. That is 4 years in a row. I really want to go 5 for 5. But if we're being realistic, I think our team's very, very good for this league. Like, we really are. But Celtic have stayed behind us the entire time. We played 38 games, 33 wins, 5 draws. I don't know why it's only showing 4. And then we had 0 losses again. So we did fantastic. 95 goal difference, 104 points. With us not losing a game, Celtic are only 6 points behind us. So like I said, they've stayed in and around. Our Aberdeen have been doing really, really well. Obviously, they're like 20 points off the pace behind Celtic, but they're still doing really, really well. The league's starting to come up a little bit. 4 years in a row has been amazing. Obviously, Esposito was the top goal scorer before he left for Real Madrid. He got 28 goals by January, which is absolutely insane. He would have had a banger every season. I'm not even mad at him going to Real Madrid because it's Rangers, Real Madrid, you know what I mean? Like, where are you going to go? But January just, it was a bit rough. Esposito and Vega both in there for the average ratings. Kirkes and Fox, the wee young right back, both of them have 14 assists, which is fantastic. Kirkes in there for yellow cards. Heidel is in there for clean sheets, and Esposito in there for player of the matches. And if you go up to the team stats, most points per game is us 2.754. Celtic right on behind us. We scored 123 goals, but Celtic also scored 100 goals, which is wild. Most shots for is us. We're always about 200 ahead. We have a lot of shots. Few shots against, we're both joint, us and Celtic. Most clean sheets is us and Celtic. We're pretty close, 22 and 20. And then fewest conceded. We conceded 28, scored 123. So all up, boys, I would say a pretty good season if you're scoring that many goals and only conceding like 20 goals. Obviously, we all know, look, this league is not the Premiership, but we did pretty well. And to win it 4 years in a row is very, very happy. Please, dear God, let us win 5. But let's go see how we did in the cup. So we started things off in the 4th round against Dundee United. We ended up slapping them 3-0. But unfortunately, that is where the cup fun ended. Yes, Celtic beat us in the 5th round 2-1. Not going to pretend that I'm happy with this. I'm really, really not happy with this. I think this is a team we should be beating. But obviously, when we were against Celtic, they have bought some decent players. As you can see, the Vivaro Vidaldo was player of the match. Pretty good player in FM. Obviously, a little older now. But this is a match, honestly, we should be winning. So, unfortunately, that's us out of the cup for this year. Which then moved us over to the Champions League phase. We did not start great. We get absolutely obliterated by AC Milan 4-1. We then get beat 3-2 by Feyenoord in Rotterdam. We did bounce back straight away. We ended up slapping Salzburg 5-0. We then beat Club Brugge 5-3. We had an amazing 3-2 win over Barcelona. We then also managed to beat PSG 2-0. We then drew 3 each away to Benfica. Then in our final league phase match, we ended up getting beat by Olympique Marseille 2-1. We can beat Barcelona and we can beat PSG. But Olympique Marseille, no, obviously we had a man sent off, and then 11 minutes later they had a man sent off. But look, Once again, this is a game we should be given a better performance against. But all in all, look, we go through in the Champions League. We finished in 13th. At one point, we were up in 8th. Look, the teams that are in this top 8 is absolutely wild. I'm very, very happy. Like I said, every season, as long as we qualify and go through to the next round, that's all counts. So this moves us on to the knockouts. We faced off against Ajax. We went to Amsterdam first. We drew with them 2 each. We then brought them back to Ibrox and beat them 4-1. That then moved us on to the round of 16 where we faced off against Lazio. We drew with them 2 each at Ibrox. The second leg, we turned it around at the Stadio Olimpico and then we beat them 2-0, which takes us to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against a very, very good Real Madrid team. They started off the scoring. I just noticed they also have Florian Wirtz and Esposito now. 3 minutes later, a terrible mistake from us let Vinicius Jr. in to make it 2-0. And then right on the 70th minute, they scored another goal to make it 3-0 on the night. Which meant going back to Ibrox, we had our work cut out for us being 2-0 down already, but we started off the scoring through Hadji. Young Cortez then made it 2-0 on the night, but unfortunately, Real Madrid with a 3-0 win at the start, they put us out. Which is unfortunate because to beat Real Madrid 2-0 at Ibrox, it's once again, we always throw away one of the legs. It's either the first leg or the second leg, obviously, but like we always throw one of them away. Look, they get slapped around by Real Madrid is not a bad thing. Yeah, like I said, they have Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, Camavinga, Touche and Mane. They also bought Florian Wirtz on top of also having Esposito. So their team's, how do we put this? Fucking miles better than ours. So for them to only beat us 3-2, I'm going to take us as a massive positive. Obviously losing the first leg kind of sucked a little bit 3-0, but look, I can't fault the boys for the second leg. They went out, beat Real Madrid. So then moving over into the player performances, Heidel started 58 games, conceded 58, but he had 28 clean sheets. Young Daniels played 56 games, scored 19 goals with 1 assist. Don't worry, he's upset. It's just for violent conduct because he gets sent off against Hibs. I have tried to give him a new contract, but because this the slight concern thing will not go away, it's been here for ages, I can't give him a new contract until this goes away, and there is a lot of teams sniffing around him, like Juventus, Tottenham, Newcastle, Chelsea. If any of them has come in and activate his 21.5 million clause, I'm gonna be so fucking upset, like I really am. So I'm hoping at the end of this season, moving into the new season, I'm gonna be able to give him a contract. Look, if I lose him for 60, 70 fucking million, I'll be fine, because honestly, he is worth that. He is worth at least 50 to 70 million as a centre back. He really, really is. But like I said, scored 19 goals and 1 assist. So yeah, he's pretty decent in the air. And the big man Dragusin beside him played 39 games, did have a couple of injuries, and he has 6 assists. Big Kirkes played 44 games, 1 goal, 18 assists. He ended up getting a wee bit of an injury at the end of the season, so he ended up stopping. As you can see, Major, he's currently out. It is a torn knee ligaments, so hopefully he can recover. He's still out for the next 2 to 3 months, so I don't know if he'll be around for the start of the season. But look, it's unfortunate he get injured, but at least we got him for most of the season, and 18 assists is really good. And of course, the one we all want to see, how did young Ian Fox do? Look, played 56 games, obviously I locked him in for the season. 1 goal, 19 assists, so 20 goal involvements in his first season. Look, this is the weird thing. If he was in the Premiership, he would be worth like 25, 30 million. He's only worth 3.4 to 5.6. One thing I do want to check is I wanted to make sure he had no clause on his contract, so we end up losing him. But all in all, look, really, really good season. Would like to see a wee bit of development with regards to like attributes. But look, it's his first season. He's only 19. If he can get to 3 to 4 star, 3.5 star, I think we could have a very, very good player. Obviously, he's not going to be world class, but like we're Rangers in the Scottish League. Then, of course, young Mark Burnell, I did loan back in for the season. As you can see, I've also confirmed a sign on him. Obviously, we had a lot of money between selling Vega and Esposito. So look, I went and paid the 11.5 million for him. This means we have Bernal, we have DeBast, and we have Mascaro to play as the 3 DMs. We have a couple of other people that can play in that position too, but he played 29 games, 18 off the bench, 5 goals and 4 assists. But I think for 11.5 million, this is a really good buy. Then Big DeBas played 32 games, 11 off the bench, 2 goals, 3 assists. Mascardo then played 49 games, 9 goals, 7 assists. Desire Duayen, obviously in on loan, played 45 games, 15 goals and 12 assists. A really good season. I would love to keep him, but like we cannot afford that 103 million optional fee. I'd love to keep him, but just we can't afford it. In Hadji, the big man that has weird attributes, but just seems to play amazing. Him and Tavernier, obviously, it's different with Hadji because Hadji has the technical and mental abilities. Obviously, his physical and his aerial and stuff. Over here, because his aerial is bad and he's not quick, it makes him look a lot worse than he is. But technically, the man is extremely gifted, and it's very rare to find players that are strong with both feet. Sorry, very strong with both feet. Played 35 games, 17 off the bench, had a few injuries and a few knocks, but he had 19 goals and 20 assists, so nearly 40 goal involvements in 35 games for Hadji. Another great season for him. And then, of course, the young Brazilian played 23 games, only got 3 goals, 1 assist. Look, I'm not expecting too much out of him. He only came in January, and I have to wait, give him a wee bit of time. I want to give him at least another full season in the team and kind of see if he develops. But a lot of green arrows going up, and that's always positive. And of course, the big man that probably had to come in and fill the biggest boots in the club was Cheeto Obi Martin. He's currently injured right now for like 3 weeks. It was for like 2 months, but he only played 24 games, 10 goals and 2 assists, so 12 goal involvements in 24. Once again, he only came in January. I want to give him at least another whole season and kind of see how it develops. But all in all, look, I'm very, very happy with this team. I don't know if there's anywhere I really overly want to change. Obviously, this is a position we're going to have to bring somebody in. We have Hidell, Kirkes, Daniels, Dragusin, and Fox. I'm super happy with. We'll just have to see how Fox progresses over time. Daniels, I obviously need to get a new contract into him somehow at some point. If I was losing him for a decent amount of money, I'd be happy enough to lose him. We could just go and get an centre back. But like, I don't want to make £3.5 million profit. I would like to make 30-40 million. Bernal and like obviously DeBastin and like I said, Moscardo can play in there. Elise, give another season. Hadji has been fantastic. Obi, give another season. But the attacking midfielder and support, we need to bring somebody in here. But we do have 52.8 million. Obviously, I still have a lot of money left over from Vega and Esposito, so I'm going to try and put this to good use. I would say we have a decent enough reputation now that we should be able to bring a decent player in. And like for 50 million, we can splash a little bit of cash. Obviously, you know how I want to do it. I want to bring young players in cheap and develop them, then sell them on for big cash. Because like, I feel like I've done everything in this save already. Like, we've won the league. Obviously, I'm going to keep playing. But I feel like we've done everything. We've turned Rangers into a very, very good team in the league. We're decent in the cup. We've won it a couple of years. Champions League, we're always in and around the round of 16, which is phenomenal for a Scottish team. But boys, that is the end of season 4. Let's jump over into season 5. So boys, then moving over into season 5, look, one of the transfers we knew was going to go out the door was going to be Daniels. When the transfer window opened, 18 teams activated his release clause. Obviously, like I said, I showed you previously, had the slight concern thing. It was, what was it, fined for conduct against Hibs. I went back and checked like all the Hibs games. He wasn't sent off unless he just like accumulated too many yellow cards and then we fined him or something. I don't know. But he stayed upset the whole way to the transfer window. I've never seen a player be that upset for that amount of time. Honestly, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people keep the editor on for shit like this in case like a bug happens. But then we ended up losing one of our best. Honestly, let's be honest. This dude he's world class. He's a world class centre back, and we ended up losing him for like 21.5 million. That's the most upsetting part about it. If I'd have lost him, like I said previously, for like 50, 60, 70 million, I would have kind of got over it and we just go and ban our player. But like I said, they all activated his release clause of 21.5 million. We paid 18, so we only technically made 3.5 million. I'm more upset about the money than I am losing him because it's going to be inevitable. We're Rangers in the Scottish League. We're going to lose players to big teams. But it's just... he's worth so much money. So then the next person out the door was Hidell. He ended up going to Juventus once again. The same thing, just we're a small team. He wants to go and play, even though we're doing better in the Champions League in Juventus, but it's more about the league, because whenever I've went in and tried to offer for a bunch of like younger players, they always say that like they respect our standing, but then our league isn't a high standard. So basically the league is fucking us pretty much. It's not like our reputation, it's just they don't want to come and play in this league, which I get. Like I said previously, we're in Scotland. These people are going to Italy and England and France and Germany. So I kind of get it. But Hidell, look, at least we got decent money for. We bought him for 12.5 million. Juventus gave us 25 million, working its way up to 40 million. So we made a huge profit. What's that, like 25 million on Hidell? Of course, I did have to replace him, so I did bring another keeper in. But look, he's one I didn't want to lose, but at least we got money for him. So then the person to replace Hidell is this guy, Mikel Seguin. I've had this dude on my shortlist for a little bit. Obviously, he's in Spain, so you can't really do anything with him, but he's 16. You have to wait till he's 18. I think this dude's going to be absolutely fucking phenomenal, and you won't believe the money we got him for as well. He has a fantastic mentality, super consistent, can play with both feet. He's only 18, 6 foot, a little short for a keeper, but as you can see, his aerial and shot stopping are absolutely phenomenal. We got him for 2.5 million. That was his release clause. So it's nice to see other teams are getting shafted for release clauses. It's not just us. But look, this is a massive... Look, we get rid of Hidell for 40 million. brought this dude in for 2.5, and he has the potential to probably be as good or better. A little different keeper from Heidel. He's more like a Carnashi, like a really, really good like aerial shot stopping keeper. Distribution's not too hot, but that's something we can work on. He's only 18. But like I said, this is a replacement on our long-term keeper. So another person I brought in, once again, this was more of a release clause type thing as well. We paid a total of 8.5 million for him. This is Andres Schreiber. This is going to be more for like defensive cover, but I also want to train him to play in defensive midfield. I think honestly he's probably better suited as a defensive midfielder because he's not quick, he's not great. If he was really good in the air, you could get over him being in the centre back. So I'm going to train him to kind of play in the defensive midfielder role so we have a wee bit more cover in there. But like I said, for 8.5 million, that was his release clause. He's 18, 5'11", he can play with both feet, amazing mentality, and he has a bunch of really, really good mental stats. His physicals are pretty good. Like I said, not the fastest in the world, but you don't have to be quick to be a good footballer. So then I also brought this young guy in to play centre-back for us. This is going to be in on a season loan, obviously with an option to buy. 3.2 million for the season. He has an option to buy for 17 million. This is one I think it could be really, really good. I don't know what's going on with the faces. Obviously, I have the face pack thing going on. He's just, sometimes the faces don't work. Obviously, if you take a save over, all the faces are going to look like this, unless you put the faces in manually yourself. At 17.5 million, look, he's 18 years old, 6'4". Physical stats are absolutely insane. 17 bravery, decision making of 14. He's got 15 for determination, good positioning, good tackling. Got a few things to work on. Like I said, a wee bit more of like a no nonsense centre back, but that's fine because he's playing beside someone who's pretty decent on the ball. But this is one obviously I want to get in, but we can't guarantee that he's going to want to play for us. Obviously, when we get to January, I'll offer him the 17.5 million, see if he's interested, or even just go to his agent and kind of see if he's interested in signing for us. But this is one I would like to bring in. And if we can get him for 17.5 million, at least with him, I'll try and get the release clause out of him. But this is going to be one. We kind of just wait and see if he wants to sign for us. And then I brought this young guy in. This is a weird one. This has to be like a weird football manager thing. I don't know what it is. So we've got this little guy, Mendy, in on a season loan from Espanyol. But as you can see, he's on an approach to sign. But unfortunately, he doesn't want to sign for us full time. So what I'm going to do is obviously loan him in. When we get to January, I'm going to approach a sign. Look, if I can get this dude for like $1 million, $1.5 million is an absolute steal because he is very, very good already. He's consistent. He doesn't really have a good mentality, but that's something that can change over time because it's not dark red, so we should be able to change it. Like I said, 19 years old, 6'2", adds a wee bit of physicality to the team. Pretty good with both feet. First touch is amazing. Technique is amazing. Off the ball is amazing. Flair is amazing. Composure, anticipation, his physical stats are absolutely insane. And like I said, we'll just... once again, the same as the centre back, we just kind of play this out until January and kind of see where we go. But if we can get him on a look, even if I had to pay the 5 or 6 million to just buy him from the club, I would do that because I think he's worth it. So then I brought this young guy in as well. Once again, this is on a season loan. This is on from Man City. A total of 1.7 million. He does have an optional thing, but it's 64 million. This is going to be more for sort of right back because we only really have one right back, our young wee kid. And if he gets injured or suspended or he's tired, we have no cover. So I've brought this guy in just on a season loan. So then I've brought another person in, and that is going to be young Paul Kouabasi. Once again, we need centre back cover because we've lost a few centre backs between losing contracts and then having to sell people on. Brought Paul Kouabasi in for a total of 12.2 million. Honestly, he hasn't played a ton of football. He's a really, really good centre. If you can play Paul Kouabasi from the start of the game, it's actually insane how good he is. The same with like Nathan Zizi and stuff. Like you just have to give them football when they're young to get them to develop. But he's one. Look, he's happy to come in. He's playing as a squad player, and for 12.5 million, it's a pretty good deal. So with everybody in the door and everybody out the door, this is what the team is going to look like for season 5. Seguin, our new keeper, Kirk is the new centre back. Is Rodri and Dragusin still here? Look, a bunch of teams offered for him. Napoli, Spurs, funny enough, wanted him back. They offered, I rejected it. He didn't say anything, so it's nice to actually have players who want to stay at the club. Young Fox, I'm probably more likely going to start with Bernal and DeBast. Bernal still has room to improve, where Moscardo's kind of at his max, but I'm just going to let them three fight it out. I think it's going to be more likely Bernal and DeBast, though. Then my only worry is here we've got a very, very young front line. In Elisu, the wee young wonder kid, I would like to see how well he can progress this season. Obviously, he's more of like an inside forward type player, just with the speed and agility and balance and the dribbling and stuff. But he now is able to play. He's accomplished in that position, so we should get a wee bit more out of him this season. Obviously, Mendy, the young kid, playing as the attacker. Just these two are not very, very well rounded. He's a wee bit more well rounded, so I'm going to play him in the support role. The big man Haji has signed another contract. I would like to keep him around for as long as possible. Also, it's nice to have a few younger or older players in the team. And then obviously Obi up top. Once again, would like to see a wee bit more out of him this season. He still has a long way to go to improve. As you can see, could improve a lot. If he gets a 4-star, I would say if he gets a 4-star, he'll be absolutely disgusting. But it'll be interesting to see how well he does this season. But boys, that's everybody in the door and everybody out the door. Obviously, if there's anybody good in January, I'll bring his back. I would like just one good youth intake so I can bring his back in April just to show you a decent player. But all in all, boys, that's everybody in the door. Let's go play season 5. So boys, we've made it to January and there has been a few changes to the team. Nothing like crazy. So the wee young kid, Mohamed Mendy, does not want to sign for us. I think he's also already agreed a contract with Man City. Yep, there you go, as you can see. So unfortunately, he's off the City. I couldn't get him to sign a contract even whenever I offered like 2.5 million to the club. They accepted. He had no interest in signing. So unfortunately, he's still here for the rest of the season. But he's not a Man City player. Also, the young Barcelona centre-back has absolutely, once again, no interest in signing for us. This is something I'm just going to keep going. Obviously, when we get to April, I'm going to offer him another contract. When we get to the end of the season, I'm going to offer another contract because I would like this player to be at the club. Obviously, if you take the save on, the save file, the corner routine, the updated database, and the tactic will all be in the pinned comments as soon as this video goes live, by the way. So you can just go download it and play away. I always try to do in my rebuilds, I try to leave you with a really fucking good team. With regards to the first team, but then I always try and leave is like a bunch of really, really good wonder kids. When I want you to take a save on, I want you to have fun. I also want you to have options because a bunch of people could also be changing the tactic. Some people could want to go to 3 centre backs, so you'll have a bunch of defenders there if you want to do some stuff. But like I said, this is one I do want to get him. But obviously he plays for Barcelona, so trying to get him away from Barcelona is going to be difficult. I think this dude's going to be absolutely unreal. If we could get him for 17.5 million, would be amazing. Like I said, I'll just keep trying, see what happens. So one person I did bring in is going to be young Leonardo Mayo. I am going to try and get him to play centre back. He's already natural as a centre back and a right back. The only thing is he has 8 jump and reach. But as you can see, his speed's good, physicals good, defending's good, mentals are off the fucking chart. If I can get his, look, he's already got 12 head. And if I can get this up to 12 and then just let this naturally progress over time, if we can get this up to like 14 and 14, I'd be perfectly happy with that because he's already got 20 determination, 16 decision making, concentration's amazing, bravery's amazing, 15 anticipation, teamwork and work rate are 18 and 16. He's also got good tackling, he's got good technique. Passing needs a little bit of work, but it is what it is. And like I said, he's got 16 acceleration, 14 pace, 17 balance. And like I said, he's also got a fantastic mentality. We paid a total of 6.5 million for him. He's one, like I said, if I can get this jump and reach up a little bit, he could be an amazing centre back. So then obviously with Mendy pissing off to Man City, which to be honest, I don't really overly blame him. I have brought this young guy in, Fabrizio Kusianake. Not gonna lie, it kind of sounds like a Japanese or a Korean name a little bit. Doesn't sound too Brazilian, but it is what it is. He's another one we got relatively cheap, 13.2 million. It was his bias clause. He's 6 foot, he can play with both feet, he's 19, he's Brazilian. You know the rule, if he's Brazilian, he can automatically play football. But joking aside, look, that's the one thing I want to do. I want to turn this team into a team that has a lot of really young players. Obviously, we're gonna lose players at some point. So we have a bunch of really good young players. We don't pay a lot of money for them. We can sell them on for a lot of cash. Look, it's inevitably going to happen. You're at a small club in Scotland. But this guy, look, 16 finishing. So he's going to play just in behind the striker along with our other wonder kid. Then I also brought this young guy in as Pedro Henrique. The great thing is, like I said, I was going to try and search around for a lot of Brazilians and Argentinians. They're cheaper. Honestly, they're way, way cheaper. You pay like a quarter of the price than what you would if you go into Europe and France and Portugal, especially England. You know how England goes. It gets very, very expensive. We paid a total of 5.5 million for him. A kid that I think has a really, really good amount of potential, has an amazing personality, is a little one-footed, something we can work on. But as you can see over here, look, everything is the same, which means it's all going to progress the same. I'm not going to train him and everything. I'm just going to kind of let him just kind of go. Obviously, we'd like to work on his work rate a little bit, but like his physicals are insane. 14 acceleration, 14 pace, 16 jump reach, 13 strength. He's 6'2", and like I said, we paid hardly any money for him. So young Ian Fox is obviously, like I said, a player we want to try and progress. I kind of feel like I want to get him out on loan. So I was looking around for another right back to basically put into the team. Obviously, he's down in the under 21s until we can get him loaned out, get him a wee bit of football, first team football. But like, I think the guy we brought in for the first team is pretty decent. We had to fight Man City, Juventus, Bayern, and PSG. We were lucky, we just get in the door before they did, so we had already offered him a contract, and then like a week later he was clear to come and sign for us because he's pretty good. And as this guy, Estevam, as you can see, look, one, he already knows how to play right back, which is fantastic. I don't have to train him in a new position because it takes away from their attributes, but already got a fantastic mentality. He's 19, he's Brazilian, he has room to improve. His physical stats, as you can see over the right hand side, are absolutely insane. Like, he has 16 acceleration, 15 pace, 17 agility, 16 balance, 16 natural fitness for a right back, which is wild. Stamina is really, really good. 17 determination, 14 decisions, 18 bravery. Like I said, and he's already got 16 crossing, which is absolutely wild. So like I said, this is one that's a little explosive. In his contract, of course, he does have a 20 million release fee. We got him for a total of 13.5. Once again, whenever this hits the end of the season, I'm going to try and give him a new contract and get that out of him. But this is our new right back for the season. And honestly, for the long term, if you can keep this kid at the club, he's going to be amazing. So boys, that's everybody come in January. It was a wee bit, I usually don't do a lot of business in January because like I said, you get your pants pulled down for the price. But honestly, going to Argentina and Brazil to get your players seems to work out pretty well. So boys, we're at the end of season 5. Obviously over the last couple of seasons, look, we've had a few changes to the team, obviously with big players leaving. But once again, like I've said, we're in Scotland, this is going to be expected, but I think we've done very, very well. We've got a nice mix of like experienced players now and a lot of young players coming through the team, and like the team's pretty exciting. So let's go see how we did in the league this year. So we started things off with a fantastic 2-0 win over Celtic, an amazing 4-0 win over Aberdeen. We then beat Celtic again, this time it was 3-0 at Ibrox. Then we had a nice 5-0 win over St Mirren, which meant after all that, boys, 5 years in a row, have won the league. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do with Rangers. I wanted to just have a dominant spell where we just win. Obviously, when you take the save on, I'm hoping you can do the same thing. You should be able to. This team is very, very good. So 38 games played, 32 wins, 5 draws. We actually had a loss this year. We went a couple of seasons unbeaten. I don't know why it's not showing me who we lost to. I can tell you it was Celtic. We could be 3-1 by Celtic right at the end of the season. We had 88 goal difference and 101 points. Cheeto in there for top goal scorers, which is fantastic to see. Hadji, look, has been consistent this whole save. Over the 5 seasons, Hadji has been amazing. Estevam, our new right back, is in there for average ratings, along with Kieran McDowell. And then our wee attacking midfielder is in there for assists. We also have DeBast in there for yellow cards. Seguin, our new keeper, is in there for clean sheets. And then our other attacking midfielder is in there for playing the matches. So a lot of really, really good performing players. Then if you do go up to the team overall stats, most points per game is us. Once again, we're pretty far ahead of everybody. We scored 109 goals. Celtic was 76. Most shots for was us. We're usually about 200 shots ahead. We do get a lot of shots off. And then fewest shots against is us, surprisingly, once again. And then most clean sheets is us with 22. Celtic right in behind us with 20. And then the fewest conceded was also 21. So we conceded 21 goals, scored 109, and we have 101 points. Boys, this is a fantastic season. Like I said, to win the league 5 years in a row, this is what I wanted to do with this rebuild. So that now takes us to the Scottish Cup. We started things off in the 4th round against Kilmarnock. We beat them 4-1. We then beat Celtic 1-0. The only goal being an OG, but it doesn't matter. I'll take it. That then took us to the quarterfinals against St Mirren. We smashed them 3-0. This was really good because we got Celtic out of the way early. In the semi-finals, we then beat Motherwell 1-0. So then that took us to the final against Green Knockmorton. Obviously, with us knocking Celtic out straight away, made it easier. Mascardo started off the scoring with a screamer. Young Estevam, our new right back, made it 2-0 from the penalty spot. 10 minutes later, Mascardo with another absolute screamer to make it 3-0. And then to finish things off, to make it 4-0, DeBas from the corner for us to lift the cup again, boys. So this is amazing. I think this is what, like the 3rd time we've won the cup now. Look, obviously I would like to win it every year, but sometimes you're just going to lose games. Look, we're playing in the cup, we're playing the league, and we're playing the Champions League. Like it runs your squad sometimes a little hard. You get a few niggles, a few injuries, suspensions and stuff, so you can't guarantee you're always going to win it. But this is fantastic. We've got the league in the bag, we got the cup in the bag. Let's go and see how we did in the Champions League. So we started things off in the league phase against Real Sociedad. We drew with them 1 each. We then got absolutely obliterated by Man United 4-1. Look, I didn't let them win. I know I'm a Man United supporter, but look, I wanted to beat them, okay? We then got beat 1-0 by Tottenham. We then bounced back against that team that I can never pronounce or want to try to pronounce. We beat them 2-0. We then unfortunately got absolutely obliterated by Barcelona. But we did get a fantastic 2-1 win over Arsenal. We drew 1 each with Benfica. In our final league phase match, we absolutely smashed Olympique Marseille 5-1. So in the league phase, look, it was a little rough. We ended up finishing down in 20th, but look, we had Man United, Tottenham and Barcelona to play. Look, it's a little rough for us, and obviously with us changing players in January and stuff, it kind of throws a spanner in the works a little bit too. But all in all, like I said, every season, as long as we qualify, That's all counts. So this now takes us to the knockouts, where we faced off against Leipzig and absolutely obliterated them in the first leg, 6-0. We then, in the second leg, drew with them 2 each at the RB Arena, but obviously with a big win in the first leg, we ended up going through 8-2, so that took us to the round of 16, where we faced off against our old nemesis, Barcelona. We always seem to get them. Gao Carras started off the scoring for them. Yeah, they also have him now. 15 minutes later, they then made it 2-0 on the night. So in the second leg, going back to the new camp, we had our work cut out for us. They actually started off the scoring. 8 minutes later, they made it 2-0. But we weren't done there. Just before halftime, we got a goal back through Young Dahl. Honestly, some pretty good footwork. In the 80th minute, we got one back with a terrible mistake from their defence to let Cheeto win to make it 2 each. But unfortunately, we couldn't recover from the first leg, and that ended up going. Look, honestly, I'm not upset about this. Barcelona's got a ridiculous team on top of that, and they now also have Gao Carras, which just makes them unstoppable. Once again, just getting beat 2-0 in the first leg kind of hammered us a little bit, but we showed a lot of resilience in the second leg, 2 each. At the new camp, I will take that as nothing but a positive. Look, to go out 4-2, it absolutely sucks, and to go out in a round of 16, I would have liked to go a little further. The highest we've went in the Champions League is quarterfinals, and I am very, very happy with that. Look, I don't expect to win the Champions League in 5 years with Rangers. Look, it's a hell of a feat. If you can do it, fair play to you, but I think we've built a really good team. We won the league, we won the cup, made it to the round of 16, get knocked out by Barcelona, but we give them a really hard match. I'm happy. So then with regards to player performances, look, our new young keeper, Miguel Seguin, I think this kid, look how good he is already, and he's only fucking 19. I think this was a massively good investment. Like, we paid 2.5 million for him, which is wild. He played 59 games, 43 conceded, but he had 30 clean sheets. I ended up then dropping the Bass back into centre back just to have a wee bit of stability. The wee young guy, will get to him in a second. So he played 58 games, 14 goals and 3 assists. His partner beside him, Dragusin, played 37 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. He's also a transfer request that he wants to go to a bigger club. Perkes, 39 games, had a few injuries here and there, 3 goals, 11 assists. I would like to see this. Look, in this league, I would expect like 15 to 20 assists. Not expect, but like, I feel like it's very attainable. So young Estevan came in January. He started 18 games, 4 goals, 7 assists. He had a 7.39. He played very, very well. You've seen from the average ratings in the league that he had a great performance. This kid is explosive. Like, he really, really is. And like, he's got room to improve. So then, of course, young Mark Bernal in the middle of the park only played 24 games, 28 off the bench. Obviously, there's a lot of rotation between him and DeBast and Moscardo, so like, they all get a decent amount of football. He also had a few niggles, but he had 6 goals, 3 assists. He also looks fantastic over here, and it says he could still improve significantly. So if you play him, he's going to get a lot better. Like I said, the reason why I dropped DeBast back into defensive midfield is, honestly, right, I was sitting thinking about this kid, and I was like, right, how many points is it going to take me to get his jump and reach up to like 12, 13, 14 in and around, or get his head up? Look, I would rather just throw him in the midfield. He's also only 5'11", which is fine if you're playing like 3 centre backs. You can drop him into the middle, or like play him out wide or something. But like, to have 2 centre backs and one of them be like 5'11", we're probably going to get out jumped a little bit. So I dropped him into DM. Look, I think he has the capability to be able to play here. He already has the work rate. He has the teamwork. He's got 20 determination. His physical stats are absolutely insane. He's got an amazing mentality. I am currently working on his passing. His passing's only 8 and his vision's only 10. So that's something that I would work on. Obviously, you're going to need to train him to play in DM. But honestly, he's only 20 years old. He's got a long way to go. But I think he's a very, very exciting player. But he started 20 games, only got 1 goal though. In the big man, Hadji playing in the middle of our front 3. 34 games played, 21 off the bench. Once again, had a few injuries and stuff. 22 goals and 14 assists. He has been our most consistent performer probably through this whole save. He's also wanted by the Saudi League. So if you take this save on, yeah, might be a good time to cash in him. But the only thing is, he's only worth 8 to 10 million. You could probably wrangle maybe 15 million from the Saudi League and just like bring in somebody younger. But like, I don't know. Hadji's been so good. I don't know if I'd sell him. And then the young kid, Kusianaki, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He had 20 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists. But look, it's his first season. He's only had half a season. But look, this kid is, I think he has a lot of potential. Look at all those greens going up. And like he says, it could still improve a lot. I would say if you get another star out of him, he will be very, very good. But here's the other thing. Good luck holding on to him. Then our other young wonder kid, Alicio. Look, I don't know how the fuck to pronounce half these people's names. Honestly, if this was me and I was playing this save full time and taking it on, I'd probably change his name. but he had 52 appearances, 17 goals and 16 assists. And then Big Cheeto up top played 59 games, 39 goals, 5 assists, but as you can see, he still has room to improve. Look, he looks absolutely fantastic. And like I said, for all the money we paid for him, I think a really, really good striker. Obviously, would still love to have Esposito, but like Cheeto's done pretty well. So if you go and look at the team overall, like I said, honestly, if you take this team on, you have a lot of talent. The only thing I will remind you of, if you are going to take this save on, like I said, it'll be in the pinned comments for you to go and download, is Estevam has a 20 million release clause in his contract. So I would probably leave it a little bit and try and give him an hour contract and try and get that out or increase it. Look, you don't want to lose him for 20 mil. He's a really, really good fullback. Obviously, you're probably going to lose him at some point because he's probably going to be world class. And then when you're in Scotland, good luck trying to hold on to him. But like I said, if you want to try and get that release clause out of his contract, I would highly recommend that. Dragosin is probably going to leave at some point. So obviously, he wants to leave as a transfer request. But Seguin is amazing. Kirkes is good. Dabas is amazing. Estevam is unreal. You do have Pablo Henrique. You could just slip straight in here to play centre back beside Dabas. Look, kid has a ton of potential. I would definitely work on his work rate. I think 10 work rate, a little low, but like he has the potential to be really, really good. Obviously, you still also have a ton of money. You have 35 million to spend. Then you've got Bernal, Moira in there, Elise, Hadji, and Kusinago, and Obi Martin. Then you also have Alco Abassi, you have Screeber and Moscardo. Probably the most upsetting thing for me for this save is honestly going to be losing Achille Daniels, because like, look how fucking good he is. I'm still gonna say it. If I'd have lost him for 50, 60, 70 million, I'd have been perfectly fine. But the fact that we lost him for like 23.5 million is honestly just a wee bit of a kick in the balls. Like, it really, really is. Because look at how much he's worth. 113 to 162. He's honestly one of the best centre backs in the game. Like, he really is. I would say probably one of the best. Probably the best centre back. Probably in the next like 3 years in the world. How good he fucking is, and he's strong with 1 foot, very strong with earth. He has, I would say, honestly, no real weaknesses. He's got 14 acceleration and 14 pace, phenomenal in the air. Physical stats are wild. Maybe first touch is about the only thing kind of lets him down a bit, but if you're playing like a no-nonsense centre back, this is, I'm honestly still upset about this because he was unreal. I think we've built a really, really good team, and like I said, honestly, if you get rid of Dragosin because he wants to leave, unfortunately, it's only going to be like 16.5 million, but if you get rid of him, that gives you over what, like 15 million to spend. So if you go over to the scouting and go to shortlists here, I have my default shortlist and then my Wonder Kid shortlist. This is all the Wonder Kids that I've found over the last like couple of years. They're all in here. I try and keep as many in here as possible so you can have a look around and just sort of, I don't know if you're going to change the formation or maybe you want to like bring a different player in. So I always try and give you a bunch of options. Obviously, there's a lot of players in here. You can sift through them all and kind of just see. Obviously, there's a lot of A's and B's and C's. The C's and B's are mostly players that you want to bring in for like squad depth, because you are going to need depth in your team. You can't just have a team full of full A's unless you're at like Barcelona or something, and then you can kind of get away with it. So like I said, there's a lot of A's in here, but then there's some players in here for squad depth, so you can have a look around and just see which players kind of suit your style. Sar, this is one I've been looking at for a little while. I think this kid's absolutely phenomenal. You're gonna have to pay a little bit of money for him, but got a really, really good mentality. He's explosive, could have the potential to be really fucking good. And it's wild that this kid, this is the one we looked at from like maybe the second season, Ibrahim Doumbia. Look, it's crazy that he's still at Getafe. Like, what is his release clause right now? Relegation, 72 million up front. Where did Getafe finish? They finished 11th. They're still a decent part away, but he's one. But honestly, if you feel like you maybe need another really good DM, I would honestly spend the money. I think this kid's fucking unreal. Once again, doesn't have a ton of weaknesses. 5'11", maybe a little short to play in the middle of the park, but if you're playing him beside like a Bernal or a Dabast who's really, really big, but he's a really good player. 20 determination, but like I said, you're going to have to pay a little bit of cash for him. But all in all, boys, like I said, this team has done very, very well. We won the league, 5 years? We won the cup 3 years, and we made it the Champions League quarterfinal. I would say that's a very, very successful rebuild. And then also, on top of that, the finances also look really, really good at the club. We don't have any debt. 32 million transfer debt, but like we also have a lot of money coming in from future fees for like Vega and Esposito and stuff. So the club is in a good spot financially as well. One thing I always try to do, I could go and just spend a fuck ton of money on players and then you take on the save and the club's in like 150 million, 200 million in debt. I don't want to do that to you. Obviously, I'd like my clubs to be as stable as possible whenever you take a saves on. Like I said, if you want to take the save on, the save file, the corner routine, the database, and the tactic will all be in the pinned comments for you to go and download. But boys, all in all, we did everything we wanted to do with Rangers. I think this has been a really, really fun rebuild. It's something I'm going to save this and then I'll probably take on maybe like on our Twitch stream, save or something down the line, because I feel like there's a lot of players here I would like to play with. But that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Only if you fucking want to. And YouTube, if you take a save on, I hope you have a lot of fun with it.